All right. So as the scene 2 opens, we find that now the location has changed from Venice to Belmont, and Portia and Nerissa are sitting in a room, and they are again discussing that why is Portia sad? Again, earlier we had seen that Antonio was sad and he was discussing his sadness with his friends, but the reason for his sadness was not known. While in this case, when Portia and her lady in attending are discussing Portia's sadness, we find that they know the reason behind her sadness. And what is that sadness? That she has suffered much. All right. Nerissa says that you're as much as fortune you have, the same amount of sorrows, worries you have also in abundance. All right. And we come to know that there has been a plan devised for her marriage, which is making her worry a lot. So Nerissa explains the scenario that because when people are very rich, then also they age very fast because of all the worries that they have, and when they are very poor, then also they age very fast. Why? Because they do not have enough to provide for themselves. So she says that even excess is not very good, and even deprivation is not very good, while being seated in the mean means being in the middle class is the perfect thing that can happen to a man. So Portia agrees with it and says that you are saying the right thing. I am really worried because of the fortune that I have got. I do not know how to means you'll find out that we find out in the scene that suitors are coming for her marriage, and she's not able to find out that who's coming out of love and who's coming just for the sake of the fortune that she has, that she possesses. Comparing that how the people they are uh, driven by their how they are driven by their means by their minds, and do not follow the laws. They keep in preaching the others that you should follow this, you should follow that, but people often do not follow the same rules themselves. They keep teaching the others and they do not follow the rules themselves. You remember the Portia said that if it were as easy to know what were good to do, chapels had been churches, poor men's cottages, princes' palaces. So she had said that if people had followed their own teachings, if just knowing good things were as good as doing them, doing those good things, then everything would have been different. There would have been a different scenario where all the people would have followed all the laws. They would have visited the churches. They would have treated a poor man equal to a rich man. Poor man's cottages equal to princess palaces means they would have treated both the people equal. Similarly, then she says that the brain formulates laws for the body, but when you are stuck in a temptation, then all these laws are kept aside, and the person, they just they can't control themselves, and they indulge in a wrongdoing or in a sin. They cannot follow the laws when they are driven by desire. All right, when they want something, then they forget all the laws and they just indulge in whatever they want. So she says that now the fashion has been chosen, means a system has been set up by which I have to choose a husband. So I am not free to choose or reject a suitor, because a system has already been set up. And who has set this up? If you remember, her dead father. When her father was dying, he had made a will that a plan should be set up by which a suitor would come and win over Portia. Portia is not allowed to choose a partner for herself or reject someone who wins the the setup that has been set up by her father. So she is bound by her father's will. All these, through this speech, we come to know the reason for her sadness. So, what is the reason for her sadness? That she is not free to choose or reject a suitor. She has to, marry the same person who wins this by the system that has been set up by her father. Understanding all this, Nerissa knows her sadness and she tries to convince Portia and say that do not worry, your father was a very virtuous man, a religious man, and when religious people die, they have divine insights. It seems that God is giving them guidance. God is showing them something, and He told, devised this plan at the time of his death. So probably it was some divine indication that you should, choose a husband or get a husband through this way. This must be divine thing. That is, God must have guided this way of choosing a husband. So you should have full faith in such a system. Obviously, the one who will be chosen by the system would be good for you. Do not doubt it, because it has been selected by God. So God is always going to give the best thing to his children. So you do not need to worry. And whatever prince would win this lottery is going to be the best for you, because we do often do not know what is good for us. It is God who is all knowing, and he knows who's best for you, and he would do you good. So she asked that, out of all the suitors that have come up till now, what is your opinion about them? So Portia says that, okay, fine, you name them. I do not remember them, means showing her disinterest. I do not remember them. You keep naming them. I would just say something about them, and out of my words, you can make out if I like them or dislike them. Means she's not even directly saying that, okay, I'll tell you my opinion of them, because she is showing her disinterest. She says that whatever will come to my mind, I will say to you, and then you can make it out that whether I like that particular suitor or not. So Nerissa starts naming them, and the first one comes the Neapolitan prince. On hearing her name, Portia compares him to be a colt, a young horse, means a rational person, an immature person. All right. And she says that he talks nothing else, just about his horses. He keeps talking about his horses, and he even takes pride in showing his own horse. What kind of talent is that? Means she is disapproving of the Neapolitan prince. Then Nerissa names the county palatine. So Portia then says that no, he does nothing else but frowning. All the time he is frowning. Even if he hears merry tales, good tidings, still he does not smile. He would be like, when in such a young age he does not smile or get excited or be happy, then what is going to become in the future? He is going to become the weeping philosopher. If you hadn't marked earlier, please mark weeping philosopher, and I'll just make you note down something about it later on. All right, first let me complete this. So please mark weeping philosopher over there. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you over here.
yes, sir.
Yes, the child Kavya.
All right. So she says that in the old age he's going to become the weeping philosopher, and he will be very full of sadness, that he would so full of sadness that he would be like the death's head. Death's head also you can mark it. If you remember, I have told you that the danger sign that we have, the skull and the two bones, it refers to that, meaning to say that she is extremely disapproving of him, the way he frowns, the way he remains quiet, and the way he expresses sadness on his face. So she is not at all approving of the suitor. Then Nerissa asked, what about the French lord, the Monsieur Libourne, who has come from France? So now again, Portia says that I am not, God forbids, mocking people. Therefore, I'm going to just not talk much about him. Otherwise, I would have explained you. So but because mocking is not allowed, it is a sin, I'm not going to mock. I'm just going to say that because God has made him, let him be called a man. Otherwise, in other words, you can say Portia does not even want to regard him as a man. So she says that he is, if he has got every bad habit. Means what was the bad habit of the Neapolitan prince according to her? That he talked too much about his horses. So she says this one has got a better horse than the Neapolitan prince. Means a worse quality. Then for County Palatine, she says that he has got a worse habit of frowning. Means in all the qualities he is worse than all the other people. He's every man and no man, saying meaning that he has got no personality of his own. He has got no personality of his own, and he, a thrush is singing and he would just get shocked. He would jump up, he would take out his gun and looking everywhere, that what is wrong, and means he is very sluggish and all that. She is again disapproving of this suitor also, and saying that if I marry him, it would be like marrying 20 people. Meaning he does not have a personality of his own. Sometimes he behaves in a certain way, the other times he's behaving in the other way. So I won't be able to stay with him and be happy with, like, a person is there and I marry him or be happy with him, or I know him. It would not be the case. I would also always feel that as if I do not know him much. It would be like that each time I am with him, it is that I am with a different person. So she says, she goes to such an extent that she says, if he hated me, I would have forgiven him, but his love I cannot tolerate. His hatred I can tolerate, I would forgive him for that, but I cannot tolerate his love. Then Nerissa names the fourth one, saying that, what about Falconbridge, who has come from England? He's a young baron in England and he has come over here. So she says that I cannot say anything about him because he does not understand me. I do not understand him because we speak different languages. He doesn't know Latin, he doesn't know French, he doesn't know Italian, and what he speaks is English, and you know that I do not know even the least bit of English. I know pennyworth in English, meaning uh, of very little worth, that is not enough. She does not know English. So she says that because we do not have any common language, we do not talk, we cannot understand each other. But she says that if you look at his appearance, he is very oddly dressed. It is like that he has picked up things from various countries. He is, again, in a way, disapproving of the suitor, saying that it is like he has picked his jacket in Italy, his trousers in France, his cap in Germany, and his manners from everywhere. So she is again, in a way, disapproving. All right. So now Nerissa again mentions another suitor, that is the Scottish lord, saying that he is the neighbor of the English lord. So what about him? So now there is a satire on the conditions prevailing at that time between the countries. So she says that Portia says that there is no friendliness, neighborly friendliness in them. You say that he is his neighbor, but I could not see any neighborly love in them. Why? Because they had got indulged in a fighting, and the Englishman had punched this Scottish lord, and the Scottish lord had said that he is going to take revenge. And she says that I think that the French man is interested in their fight, and he is going to help the Scottish lord in taking his revenge. So this is a satire on the prevailing conditions of France, Scotland, and England. At that time, a series of war had been taking place. Not just a war, a series of war had been taking place, where England and Scotland were indulged in a fight. England and France had indulged in a war, and therefore, enemies a friend, like similar thing happened, and France and Scotland became friends. and they were together in this war in against England. So this is a, you can note it down over there, that this is a satire on the prevailing condition of England, Scotland and France. This is a satire on the prevailing conditions of England, Scotland and France. All right. Then Nerissa says, okay, fine. Then what do you think about the young German, the Duke of Saxony's nephew? So Portia says, very vilely in the morning when he's sober. All right. So she says that I disapprove of him when he's sober. I disapprove of him when he's drunk. And he gets drunk in the afternoon itself. No proper man drinks in the afternoon. Usually men, they drink in the evening, all right, or after dinner. But this man, he starts drinking since the afternoon itself. And she says, whenever you find him in the best of his conditions, even then he is worse than a man. And when he's in the worst state, then he is just like a beast. Meaning, she is disapproving of him all in all. And she says that even the worst thing that could happen to me, even if that happens to me, I would be happy, but he should not be the he should not be the one whom I have to marry. So Nerissa says, but you do not have the right to reject the winner of the lottery. So what are you going to do? So she says, you do what? If you remember, the lottery is a setting up of a gold, of silver and a lead casket. 3 caskets would be placed, each containing different things. One of the casket would contain Portia's portrait. So the suitors have to choose one out of those 3 caskets, and the one who chooses the casket that has got Portia's portrait in it would win Portia. But they are allowed to participate in the lottery only on one condition, that if they lose the lottery, then they would have to promise not to marry their whole life, means remain a bachelor till death. So she says that you do what? Because I cannot marry him and I cannot reject him. So you do what? You place a bottle of wine on the wrong casket. So the one who drinks so much would obviously be tempted, and he would not care even if devil is inside that casket. He is going to choose that casket only. Why? Because wine would be placed on it, and he would be tempted to get the wine. He would forget everything about the lottery, and he would just focus on the wine, and he would choose the wrong casket, and I would be spared. All right. So Nerissa says, you do not have to fear. All these suitors that had arrived, that I have named, they are going to go. They are not going to trouble you anymore. They have decided that they will not participate in the lottery because of the condition of not marrying their whole of their lives. If they lose this, because of this condition, they are going to leave and not participate in the lottery. So Portia says that it is very good. Even if I live as old as Sibylla, underline Sibylla, underline Dinah. I have told you the references. I hope you've written it down. I had told you what were the references. Sibylla is also a reference. Dinah is also a reference. So she says that Sibylla is, even if I live as till the age of Sibylla, as much as Sibylla had lived, I will die as pure as Dinah. All right. And she says that, but I will not be married against the will of my father. I cannot go against my father's will. All right. So I'm glad that these people are leaving because I disapprove of them. All right. And not one of the suitors' absence is going to depress me, means I do not like any one of them, and I'm very happy about their departure. Now Nerissa is mentioning a person. She's saying that, do you remember that when your father was alive, a person from Venice had come, who was a scholar, who was a soldier, and he had come here in the company of Marquis of Montferrat. Do you remember that person? So Portia says, yes, yes, I remember, it was Bassanio. So she even remembers the name. She says that, yes, I remember, his name was Bassanio. So I think he was called. So Nerissa says, of all the men that have come and gone, I think that he was the best deserving of a good lady. I think he deserved you the best. So Portia says that, yes, I remember him, and I know that he is worthy of your praise, that he is worthy of what you're saying. Means he deserves a good lady, or indirectly she's saying that he deserves me. So you can see over here her interest in Bassanio, that she even remembers his name, and she even says that, yes, Portia, you are praising him right. He deserves a good lady in marriage, or indirectly she is indicating that he deserves me in marriage. All right. So now at that time a servant enters and he says that the four strangers, they are seeking for your permission to go. Please come and just escort them till the gate, and so that they might leave. And also he informs of a messenger that comes and says that Prince of Morocco is arriving by tonight for participating in the lottery. So Portia says that I'm very happy that I'm bidding farewell to these four, but I wish I had been as glad in welcoming the next prince, as glad as I am in bidding farewell to these people. All right, so he says that I am, I would like a person to just discuss, even the person who's coming, even if he had the virtues of a saint, I'm going to prefer that he just hears my confession and he does not marry me. So it is a clear indication that over here throughout the scene there's a clear indication that her heart is somewhere else, her interest is somewhere else, and therefore she's not getting interested even in any of the suitors. These suitors, so she had seen, and therefore she is disapproving. But the one who's coming, she is already disinterested in him. So this shows that because her heart, her mind is belonging to somewhere else, and therefore she is not able to show interest in the others. And where her heart and mind is towards, it is with Bassanio. She wants to win over Bassanio, but because he has not arrived as a suitor and she cannot choose on her own, and therefore she is, bound and she cannot do anything. That is why she is so depressed. We come to know by the end of the scene that she is so depressed. Why? Because of Bassanio. She wants to marry Bassanio. She's interested in him, but because of the foundations imposed on her, we find that she cannot approach Bassanio, and therefore she is depressed. One more reason why the scene is so very important is that you can focus on the words that Portia says while describing the various suitors. You can see that how well she puts her words. So this scene illustrates or elaborates her eloquence, how very well she is, how fluent she is in her speech. So this is going to this is just a kind of setup for the later on trial scene, where she, with the war of words, wins Antonio's case. All right, she is going to win over Antonio's case in the last towards the end, the trial scene. So because of her wit, because of her choice of words, it is the choice of words with which she helps Antonio win the case. So this scene kinds of sets up this a condition, it means showing you that Portia is very good orator. All right, she can choose the words in a very beautiful way and put them. She's not even said, I disapprove of this suitor. But for all the suitors, she has said words that we come to know that she's obviously disapproving of them. For none of them, she said that I disapprove of him. Only I think for the drunkard, she said that I'm not going to marry him in any case. For only him. For the rest, she just chooses words. In a way, she's just describing the personality, but the one who's hearing her speech would obviously come to know that she is disapproving of the suitor. So she is so good in her speech, she's so good in her oration. All right.